Alright, howdy. So, you remember I've been working on this Roberts 770X, also sold as the Akai A8. It's a 1964, I think, I determined this one was. It's a tube tape recorder. It's Akai's last tube-powered tape recorder. It's got these two cool mono tube preamps that have ins and outs. So you can actually use these for all kinds of different things. When I got the thing, it would not run at all in high speed. It would run on low speed, so 3 3/4 and 7.5 are the nominal speeds of the tape machine. And when I got it, it would just, when you would put it into high speed, you see it spins right up now, it would just basically come to a stop as soon as you put any tape in it. I've got it set up with a roll leader right now because it's easy not to mess with it too much. But I replaced the motor run caps in here, and I found and replaced some cams, pot metal cams for the transports. I covered those in the other videos, and I've got it all running now. I'll show it to you here in a second. What's interesting about this machine, it comes with this pinch roller here, and this is a spare. I've punched the bronze bushing out of the middle to make this pinch roller, which was the right diameter pinch roller, but the wrong diameter hub from a different machine, work with this, which is a special 1/2 inch 15 IPS capstan roller. By default, the machine would do with no sleeve on it at all. It would do 1 7/8, or it would do with this smaller sleeve on it. It would do 3 3/4 and 7.5 with this pinch roller. And that's, most of the tapes you're going to run into. However, there was a kit available that brings you this 15 or this 1/2 inch. So with 1/8 inch on there, it does 1 7/8. Then you go up to 1/4 inch and you double the speeds to 3 3/4 and 7.5. You double it up again to this capstan, and it will do 7.5 and 15, which is cool because on 7.5 it's going to run 50 or 7.5. On the low speed, which you hear it now, it will run 7.5 IPS. And when they do that, they had to switch to this smaller wheel because when you make that capstan so big, the original roller is actually too big, so they actually had to sell you this spindle and a new pinch roller, which I've got on here. This one actually belonged to an Akai 1800, and so the general pinch roller was right, but the hub that came in here, the bronze bushing in the middle, was the wrong size. And since I have this extra of the stock pinch roller, I pressed that out of there and put it in here so that I could use this setup. So right now it's on low speed, which means if I put it in play, it does 7.5, which is great. Most of my tapes are 7.5. I've got several machines that do 7 or 3 3/4 and 7.5 commercial or consumer machines. And the reason that I wanted to get this is because this now in high speed, and you hear that it now just kicks on with those new motor run capacitors. This now does 15 IPS in the high speed, which you'll see here. So that's cooking along for a consumer reel to reel, and I'm not sure how many tapes I'm actually going to find that run that format. But it makes for some interesting possibilities for recording, you know. And I have occasionally gotten tapes from customers made on these machines where they're using the non 4-track. This is stereo 4-track. This is 4-track mono, and then there is like a 3-track also available. I have to look up the exact meaning of this one again, but I have gotten some tapes in this format, and up till now have not had an Akai with this crossfield head setup, which is the only thing that's going to play those tapes properly. So that's was the reason I wanted to get this thing running, and as you can see now with those new motor run caps, it just runs beautifully. Fast forward or rewind is great. Fast forward is also cooking right along now, because the new cams that I got move the right wheels into the right places basically to make it go. But everything on it works great. These preamps are in great shape. This has all of the original NEC tubes in it from the 60s, not a single replacement in there. It's a 4-tube, you know, 2 preamp tubes and a power tube up here. It's EF86 preamps, which is really cool. And then this one up here also has a 6AX4 rectifier. I know you can run either of these. They can be run by themselves, and people will take them out and make mic preamps and things like that out of them. But I've already got that covered with other equipment, so I don't need to do that. So I wanted to share. Did finally get it all sorted out, worked back together. It was actually kind of a lot of work to get it rolling, but it's a really cool machine, so I'm glad I went to the time and trouble. The reason that I picked this particular machine was the very first one that I had that wasn't a cassette recorder as a kid, first reel to reel that I did any recording on, was one of these machines. I think it was a slightly later model that wasn't tube, but that's what I used to use to record guitar solos on the fast speed and then slow them down. So it was really kind of a mission for me to get this thing working again. It has an auto stop here that I just don't have engaged right now because you don't have to have it for the thing to run. And you can select on here for that to shut off the machine entirely when it hits the end of the tape, which is kind of interesting, or just stop the transport. And then this is a manual stop up here. So it's got a lot of cool features. It sounds great. Speakers are built in the sides here, or you can run lines out to bigger speakers or amps. But very cool machine. Not for the faint of heart. They do require, you know, like all of my machines require maintenance to keep them running, and sometimes, as in this case, you know, just from being old, they need some help. So not a kind of machine to get into unless you're handy or want to learn how to be handy. But very glad that I got it and that I got it working. So thank you so much for following me along on this journey. And next thing I've got coming up, I've got a Gibson 1960, as it turns out from the date codes, our Gibson GA6 Lancer, which is kind of about a deluxe, Tweed Deluxe kind of sized, 15 watts or so Gibson amp, almost the same exact layout as a Tweed Deluxe, and I've got some new caps coming in for that. That one also has all the original tubes in it. They're all Gibson branded RCA tubes, made in USA, for Gibson by RCA. two 6v6, two 12AX7s, and a 5Y3 GT. So, like I said, pretty much a Gibson equivalent of a Tweed Deluxe. So I'll start doing some more videos as soon as the electrolytic caps that I need to replace come in, and I'll keep you updated on that one too. Thanks.